One of the things that I found interesting is that you often say that happiness is a choice.
Totally a choice.
And you also often say that saying that is very controversial and it loses you, or whatever percentage of podcast listeners who don't want to believe that happiness is a choice.
It loses me exactly 8% if my statistics are correct.
8?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I'll tell you why. You know, when I
wrote
Solve for Happy the first time, I basically wrote it like we write software. I created a beta version, put it online, invited people to come and read it. Literally on Google Docs, I would invite them to walk in and edit my words, which was an amazing experience.
Interesting.
270 people to be exact. And, you know, I asked them to do a little survey to tell me a little bit about themselves before that. And because it's on Docs, you can actually follow how the readers are progressing. And I lost 8% of my readers on page 11. Okay, and page 11 was the page where I said happiness is a choice, and it's obvious because for so many people, being the victim is a very interesting place to be.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's because of course there is value to being the victim.
Okay.
So remember, a lot of what we are as humans comes from when you were younger. So as a 2-year-old. You know how you sometimes, I know you did, sometimes you would go like, mommy, and you pretend to cry.
Oh yeah.
Right? Why would you pretend to cry? Because crying allowed your mom to go like, okay, baby, something's wrong. Either, you know, tap you on the back or remove whatever was annoying you or whatever. Just give you attention.
Yeah.
So there is a utility to that. And for some reason, as I always say, most of our problems with happiness are because some of us decided not to grow beyond 6.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So you know, after a while, you start to tell yourself, there's no utility to that. There is, you know, I can actually get up myself and get the Nutella jar that I wanted. I don't have to wait for mommy anymore. Why am I crying?
Yeah.
Right? Or I can actually take charge of my life. You know, if life is a little challenging, I can cry for mommy, but mommy's not going to show up if my boss is annoying. And when you're stuck in that space, for some of us, there is a utility of, I'm the victim, which means I have no responsibility for my unhappiness, okay? It's life. Life is treating me bad. No, life is treating everyone bad, occasionally, right? Or, you know, I don't have to really go out of my way to do my homework to be happy, or to do my homework to be fit, or to do my homework to, you know, to make my relationship work well. And there is an interesting comfort in that. It's like you know, I don't need to do anything about it because there is nothing to be done about it. It's the responsibility of life and not me.
Yeah.
But that's not true. Happiness is a choice. And it's, you know, I always tell people the simplest way to understand that is you can obsess about a comment your partner told you all through your commute to work, okay? And the minute you get to work, your boss says, you know, where is the report we asked for, or you have to be in a meeting, and what do? You tell your brain, okay, brain, that's it. We can't think about this for now. Focus on the meeting. And throughout the meeting, you're okay. Throughout the meeting, you're sitting there, you're listening attentively, and you're not thinking about this issue. You're probably thinking about how boring the meeting is. But you're not unhappy about that issue at all. The minute you walk out of the meeting, you go like, okay, but my partner said this on Friday. Let's play it again. It's a choice.
Yeah.
And I hosted on Slow-Mo on my podcast, I hosted Dr. Jill Bolte-Taylor, which is definitely one of my favorite humans on the planet. So Jill is a neuroscientist, and she analyzes the brain's relationship with unhappiness. I refer to her a lot in my book. And her studies will show you that from the time, take any negative emotion, take anger, for example. From the time an event triggers you, to the time you're flooded with stress hormones, to the time you take a reaction or you don't, to the time the hormones are flooded out of your body, is 90 seconds. That's it. You can't hold your anger. That over physiological response is 90 seconds. So I asked her and I said, so Jill, what does that mean? Why do people stay angry for years? And she said they regenerate it every 90 seconds.
Oh, wow.
So every 90 seconds, you have the ability to say, your body is saying, okay, here is a buffer. Do you need me to be, is there still a threat? Should I still be stressed? Okay? And you go like, yeah, but my partner said this. And you get angry again and again and again for 90 seconds. And for most of us, we're so creative. So, you know, your partner says something hurtful on a Friday. On Saturday, you say, he must be cheating on me. On Sunday, you say, all the things I do for them, but, you know, they don't do for me. And you can make it much worse. We're very, very creative every 90 seconds. And that's why we stay unhappy. That's why we stay angry.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I'd not come across the 90-second thing before, but I think that's like this idea that, you know, in between stimulus and response,
exactly,
there is a gap.
Absolutely.
And that is a gap that in which we can choose a response.
Absolutely.
Is an idea like, for example, the Stoics have been talking about for ages as well, and it's cool how modern science is now showing this to be true. Okay, a few questions on this point. The first one is, so obviously I'm also on board with this idea that happiness is a choice. But anytime I say that, I feel a niggling part of myself, because I know that some people will be thinking, what about child abuse? What about depression? What about clinical anxiety? What about post-traumatic stress disorder? What about all of these other extreme things? Is it really fair to say happiness is a choice? Is that like just telling a depressed person to cheer up? And I've never quite been able to answer that. So
that's a great question, by the way. So absolute happiness is not a choice. Nobody's ever always happy. Okay, I had the joy of spending an hour and a half with His Holiness the Dalai Lama. I know most of the top monks in the world who have practiced for 40, 50, 60 years. I mean, someone like Matthew Ricard, which again is a very dear friend and I hosted on Slow-Mo, is a person that is done 60,000 hours of meditation, of lifetime meditation. Okay, and I asked him and I said, Matthew, are you always happy? And he said, of course not. I'm always pissed off. Okay, and he's very open about it. It's like it's the state of the world. If you have compassion, makes you feel negative emotions. Of course, if you have chronic pain, if you have been subjected to abuse, if you've lost someone that you love, it's not the same ease of finding happiness. That then, like if you wanted to buy a sandwich and your place was closed, you know, your favorite, or they didn't have your favorite sandwich. Some of us feel unhappy about that, and it's absolutely a choice not to, right? It's not comparable to I've been abused. The question is, in relative terms, which is what matters, losing my child could make me miserable, and nobody would blame me for that. But also in relative terms, from that new low point of my life. So Ali, my son, died because of a medical error. You know, basically they made a mistake in a very simple, 5 mistakes in a very simple surgical operation. Now, I hugged him before he went into the operating room. I promise you, the highest point of my life. Okay? He was handsome, he was tall, he was strong, he was every father's dream. And then 4 hours later, Ali's gone. 4 hours later, my new baseline of happiness in life has gone from here to here. And you can make a choice to stay here. Or you can make a choice to make it slightly better, and slightly better, and slightly better. Yeah, I may never return back to that high point. I may never return back to a place of absolute happiness, of, you know, remembering my son and not missing him. But I have the choice to make that incremental bit. And that incremental bit is within the hands of every one of us. And that incremental bit, interestingly, is the wise choice.
Hey friends, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this clip, then click here for the full unedited episode. And if you like that, then do please consider subscribing to the channel. It means a lot. Thank you so much and have a great day. Bye-bye.